The hull breach alarm screamed through the salvage bay as Lieutenant Jake Morrison yanked his helmet seal tight. 30 seconds ago, his crew had pried open a derelict ship floating dead in the outer veil. Now something inside was pulling atmosphere like a black hole. "Get back to the airlock," he shouted, but engineer Lisa Grant was already stumbling toward the breach, her scanner flashing red in her trembling hands. "Sir, there's a life sign. It's faint, but it's there." Jake grabbed her shoulder and spun her around. "That ship's been dead for 3,000 years. Move!" The metal groaned. The ancient vessel's interior lights flickered on, bathing everything in pale blue. Jake's blood went cold. Nothing should have power. Nothing should be alive. Lisa broke free from his grip and sprinted deeper into the corridor. Jake cursed and followed, his boots clanging against floors that hadn't felt footsteps since Earth was still figuring out bronze. They found the chamber at the ship's core. It was massive, ribbed with technology that looked grown rather than built. In the center, suspended in a failing stasis field, floated a being that made Jake's mind struggle to process what he was seeing. It was vaguely humanoid, but wrong in ways that hurt to observe. Its skin shimmered between states of matter. 4 arms hung limp at its sides. Its head was too large, split by a vertical seam that might have been a mouth or might have been something else entirely. The stasis field sparked and died. The creature collapsed to the floor with a sound like breaking crystal. Its chest heaved once, twice, then stopped. Lisa was beside it before Jake could stop her, her medical kit already open. "It's dying! The stasis failure, it's killing it." "Let it die," Jake said, but his voice lacked conviction. "We don't know what it is, what it's done." The creature's eyes opened. There were too many of them, arranged in a pattern that suggested it could see in dimensions Jake couldn't imagine. When it looked at him, he felt the weight of civilizations rising and falling in that gaze. Its mouth opened. Sound came out, impossible and ancient. But then his translator implant kicked in, with a delay that felt like centuries compressed into seconds. "I'm dying," it said, each word costing it visible effort. "Stay?" Lisa looked up at Jake, her eyes wide. "Sir, I can stabilize it. The med kit, it's showing compatible readings. I don't know how, but I can help." Jake's hand hovered over his sidearm. Every protocol screamed at him to evacuate, to seal this ship and let whatever this was fade into history where it belonged. The creature's breathing grew shallower. Its eyes began to dim. Lisa pulled out a neural stimulator. "Permission to proceed, sir." Jake looked at the being on the floor, at the technology surrounding them that humanity had been trying to understand for generations, at the question hanging in the air like a prayer from something that had watched stars be born. "Do it," he said. Lisa's hands moved with precision that surprised even Jake. She pressed the neural stimulator against the creature's chest, right where something that might have been a heart pulsed weakly beneath translucent skin. The device activated. The creature convulsed. "It's not working," Lisa said, her voice tight. "The cellular structure, it's rejecting the charge. I need to recalibrate, but I don't have time to figure out its biology." The creature's hand shot up and grabbed Lisa's wrist. She gasped, but didn't pull away. Jake raised his weapon, then lowered it. The grip wasn't violent. It was desperate. Images flooded into Lisa's mind. She could feel them, taste them, live them. A galaxy burning, ships beyond counting, falling like rain. This being, standing among others of its kind, watching their empire crumble, not to war but to time itself. The last of them, hiding in stasis, waiting for something, for someone. "It's showing me," Lisa whispered. "It's called Veron. It's been waiting for a species curious enough to open the door." clever enough to try helping instead of destroying. Waiting for what? Jake demanded. Varen's grip tightened. More images came. A device built into the ship's core, a repository of knowledge spanning millions of years. Technology that could reshape matter, cure diseases humanity hadn't even discovered yet. Engines that could fold space like paper, but it was locked, encrypted with biological keys that died with Varen's species. All of it worthless unless Varen survived long enough to open it. It wants to give us everything, Lisa said, but only if we save it first. Jake's comm crackled. Morrison, we're reading massive energy fluctuations from that ship. Whatever you're doing, stop it now. He ignored the order. Can you save it? Lisa looked at her scanner, then at the failing creature before her. Not with this equipment. But if I had access to the ship's medical bay, if I could interface our technology with theirs, maybe. It's a long shot. Varen released her wrist and pointed one trembling arm toward a sealed doorway across the chamber. Symbols glowed along its surface, rearranging themselves into something almost readable. It's opening access, Lisa said. It's trusting us. The door slid open with a hiss that sounded like a tomb exhaling. Beyond it lay a corridor that stretched impossibly far, lined with technology that hummed to life as they watched. Jake made his decision. Get it to the medical bay. I'll buy you time. Time from what? Command's going to blow this ship the second they think it's a threat. Move. Lisa hooked her arms under Varen's shoulders. The creature weighed almost nothing, as if its mass existed partially in other dimensions. She dragged it toward the corridor while Jake activated his comm. Morrison to Captain Phillips. Sir, I'm requesting a hold on all offensive action. Negative, Lieutenant. That vessel just went from dead to active in under 5 minutes. We're treating it as hostile. You have 2 minutes to evacuate. There's a survivor, sir. Ancient alien, dying. It's trying to communicate. A pause. Then Philip's voice came back harder. That's exactly why we're firing. Get out now. That's an order. Jake looked at Lisa disappearing down the corridor with Varen. He looked at the technology around him, worth more than every discovery humanity had made in space, combined. I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that. He cut the comm and ran after Lisa. The medical bay was a cathedral of strange instruments and flowing surfaces that seemed to anticipate their presence. Lisa laid Varan on a platform that shifted to accommodate its form. Scanners descended from the ceiling, speaking in frequencies that made Jake's teeth ache. It's syncing with my equipment, Lisa said, wonder creeping into her voice despite the urgency. It's teaching me, showing me what to do. Her hands flew across controls that materialized at her touch. The ship's systems merged with her medical kit in ways that should have been impossible. She pulled compounds from storage units that opened like flowers, mixing them according to instructions that appeared directly in her mind. Jake checked his chronometer. 90 seconds until the fleet opened fire. Lisa, how long? I don't know. This is beyond anything I've ever done. Beyond anything anyone's ever done. Varen's chest rose and fell in an irregular rhythm. The treatment was working, but too slowly. Then Lisa stopped. Her face went pale. What is it? Jake asked. The cure. It needs a catalyst, something to jumpstart Varen's regenerative systems. She looked at him with eyes that had seen too much in too little time. It needs human genetic material, living cells. Blood? How much? Enough that it might kill whoever gives it. Jake rolled up his sleeve without hesitation. Varen's hand moved, weak but insistent. It pushed Jake's arm away and pointed at Lisa. No, Jake said. Absolutely not. But Lisa was already preparing the extraction needle. It has to be me. I'm the one who's been interfacing with its systems. My cells have been exposed to its technology. They're compatible in ways yours aren't. That's suicide. That's the job." She smiled, small and sad. "Someone has to stay, right?" That's what it asked. She pressed the needle to her arm. As the ship shook with the first warning shot from the fleet, the extraction began and Lisa's scream cut through the medical bay like a blade. Her blood didn't just flow into Varen. It ignited, turning luminescent as it entered the creature's circulatory system. The platform beneath Varen pulsed with light that traveled through conduits in the walls, spreading across the entire ship. Jake caught Lisa as she collapsed. Her skin had gone deathly pale. Her pulse was barely there. "No, no, no," he muttered, lowering her to the floor. "You don't get to die saving an alien. Not today." Varen sat up. The movement was sudden, fluid, wrong for something that had been dying seconds ago. Its eyes blazed with new light. It looked at Lisa, then at Jake. An understanding passed between them without words. The ship lurched. A direct hit from the fleet. Shields Jake hadn't known existed flared to life outside the hull. "Lieutenant Morrison, this is your final warning." Captain Phillips's voice crackled through his calm. "We are firing for effect. Evacuate immediately or be destroyed with that vessel." Varen stood and moved to Lisa with speed that blurred. It placed all 4 hands on her, 2 on her chest, 2 on her temples. Energy flowed between them, but this time in reverse. Jake's scanner went haywire. "What are you doing to her?" Varen didn't answer with words. Instead, Jake's translator implant overloaded with pure meaning. "Balance. Exchange. Debt." Lisa gasped. Color returned to her face. Her eyes opened, but they weren't quite the same eyes that had closed. There was something new in them, something vast and ancient, riding alongside her own consciousness. "I can see it," she whispered. "Jake, I can see everything. The math behind the stars, the patterns in chaos. It's beautiful and terrifying, and I understand now why they waited so long." "Lisa, you're not making sense." "I'm making perfect sense. Varen didn't just take my blood. It gave me something back. Knowledge. Not the repository, not yet. Just enough to understand what's at stake." Another explosion rocked the ship. Closer this time, Varen moved to a console and spoke. The translator rendered it into something Jake could process. "The fleet will destroy us in 90 seconds. I can escape. I have power now, but if I flee, they will hunt me across the galaxy. Your species will learn to fear what it doesn't understand. The gift will be lost." "Then don't flee," Lisa said, standing on shaking legs. "Bite. I will not harm your people." "You don't have to." She turned to Jake. "Give me your command override codes." "What? Why?" "Because I'm going to do something either incredibly stupid or incredibly brilliant, and I need access to fleet communications right now." Jake hesitated. Lisa grabbed his face with both hands. Her touch was warm but carried an electric charge that made his hair stand on end. "Trust me, please." He recited the codes. Lisa's hands flew over the console. Varen's technology merged with human communication protocols in ways that should have taken years to figure out. She opened a channel that broadcast to every ship in the fleet simultaneously. "This is Engineer Lisa Grant, broadcasting from the ancient vessel. I'm transmitting on all frequencies. What I'm about to show you cannot be faked, cannot be misunderstood. Watch." She placed her hand on Varen's interface. The ship's sensors activated, pointing not outward but inward, mapping every molecule of the technology around them. The data streamed directly to the fleet. Captain Phillips's voice came through. Stunned. "What am I looking at?" "The cure for cancer, sir. All of them. Every variant. The molecular patterns are right there in the medical bay's database. Cross-reference with our own research. It matches. It works. She didn't wait for a response. Her hands moved again. This is a fusion reactor design that produces zero radiation and runs on seawater. Here's an atmospheric processor that can reverse climate damage. Here's a materials printer that can build structures molecule by molecule. I'm sending it all. Everything we can access without Baron's full authorization. Jake watched the fleet through the external cameras. The ships had stopped firing. Every vessel hung motionless in space, their crews undoubtedly staring at screens filled with technology that would change human civilization overnight. "Why?" Captain Phillips asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Why give us this?" Baron spoke, and this time Lisa translated, her voice carrying harmonics that weren't quite human. Because Lisa stayed. Because Jake chose mercy over fear. Because in 10,000 years of watching species rise and fall, I have never seen one where the first instinct was to heal rather than destroy. You are young and violent and chaotic, but you are also curious and brave and kind. You deserve this gift. You have earned it. The fleet channel exploded with voices, captains arguing, scientists demanding verification, politicians already calculating advantages. But underneath it all, Jake heard something else. Wonder, hope, the sound of humanity realizing it wasn't alone and that the universe might not be as hostile as they'd feared. "Sir," Jake said into his comm, requesting permission to remain aboard and continue first contact protocols. A long pause. Then Phillips responded, "Permission granted. But Morrison, if that thing so much as looks at you wrong, I'm glassing that ship from orbit. Clear? Crystal? Sir?" Lisa slumped against the console, exhausted. Baron caught her with one hand and steadied her with a gentleness that seemed impossible from something so alien. "What happens now?" Jake asked. Baron's eyes met his. "Now I teach. And you learn. And together we discover if humanity is ready for what comes next." The ship's lights pulsed in a rhythm that felt almost like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep in its core, the repository waited. But for the first time in millennia, Baron wasn't waiting alone. The teaching began immediately, and it was nothing like Jake expected. Baron didn't lecture or demonstrate. Instead, it touched Lisa's hand, and she went rigid, her eyes rolling back as information poured directly into her brain. Jake lunged forward, but Baron's free hand stopped him with surprising strength. She agreed. "She understands the price." "What price?" "Knowledge changes the mind that holds it. She will never be fully human again. Neither will you if you choose to learn." Jake looked at Lisa. Her body trembled, but her face showed no pain. Instead, something like ecstasy played across her features. When Baron released her, she staggered but caught herself. "I can build it," she said, breathless. "The atmospheric processor. Not just understand it. I can build it from memory. Every component, every calculation, it's all just there in my head like I've known it my whole life."
"That's impossible," Jake said.
"Impossible is relative now." She grabbed his arm. "Jake, there are 47 other humans who need this. Scientists, engineers, doctors, people who can take what Baron knows and spread it across our entire species. But we need to move fast. Why the rush?" Varan moved to a viewport. Beyond it, the fleet hung in formation. But past them, something else was visible. A distortion in space that Jake's instruments couldn't properly read. "They are coming," Baron said simply. "Who?" "The Wardens. They monitor this galaxy for civilizations that advance too quickly. When your fleet fired on this ship, it triggered ancient sensors. protocols older than your sun. The wardens believe fast advancement leads to catastrophic war. They will come to evaluate humanity. If you fail their judgment, they will reset you. Reset? Jake felt ice in his stomach. Destroy your technology, cripple your infrastructure, force you back to primitive conditions. They have done it to 43 species. They are thorough and they are merciless, and they will arrive in 72 hours. Lisa pulled up a holographic display. Then we have 72 hours to prove we're different, to show we can handle advancement responsibly. How do we prove that? Jake demanded. Baron's expression shifted into something that might have been a smile on a human face. You build. You share. You demonstrate that knowledge makes you better, not worse. Lisa understands now. She will teach others. They will teach more. And when the wardens arrive, they will see a species transformed not by conquest, but by cooperation. Captain Phillips' voice cut through the calm. Morrison, we're detecting spatial anomalies at the edge of the system. Big ones. What's going on over there? Jake explained quickly. He expected disbelief, maybe panic. Instead, Phillips responded with military precision. 72 hours to save humanity from alien judgment. No pressure? A pause. What do you need? Send me your best people, sir. Every field, and give me full authority to work with Varen without interference. Done. They'll shuttle over within the hour. Phillips out. Lisa was already working, her hands moving across Varen's controls like she'd been born to it. I'm designing a demonstration, something undeniable. We'll build a clean energy grid that can power an entire colony. Show the wardens we use technology to nurture, not destroy. In 3 days? With Varen's help and enough human hands, yes. The first shuttle arrived 40 minutes later. It carried 12 people, each a specialist in their field. Dr. Raymond Clark, a physicist with 3 decades of fusion research. Commander Nina Ross, a military strategist who'd prevented 2 colonial wars through diplomacy. Engineer Marcus Webb, who'd built the first stable Martian habitat. 10 others, each brilliant, each skeptical. They became believers the moment Varen touched them. Jake watched their transformations with growing unease. Each person went rigid under Varen's touch, then emerged changed. Their eyes held that same vast quality Lisa's did now. They spoke in technical terminology that bordered on poetry. They moved with purpose that seemed almost choreographed. This is wrong, he muttered to himself. Varen appeared beside him. You fear I am controlling them? Are you? No. I am showing them possibilities. Their minds expand to accommodate new understanding, but the choices remain theirs. Watch. Clark approached a console and began designing something. His hands shook slightly, his brow furrowed with concentration. Very human uncertainty mixed with inhuman knowledge. If I controlled them, Varen said, there would be no hesitation. No doubt they would be perfect, but perfection is not what humanity needs. You need to grow into this knowledge, to struggle with it, to make it your own through effort and choice. Jake wanted to believe that. He had to believe it because the alternative was too horrifying. The work proceeded at a pace that defied belief. Within 12 hours, they'd fabricated a prototype energy core using materials harvested from asteroids nearby. Within 24, they'd assembled a distribution network that could power a city. Within 36, they'd integrated it with existing colonial infrastructure and brought it online. 0 emissions, unlimited capacity, free energy for anyone who needed it. News spread across human space like wildfire. Other colonies demanded the technology. Corporations offered fortunes for exclusive rights. Politicians called for regulations, for controls, for committees to decide who got access. Lisa addressed them all in a broadcast that reached every human settlement. This belongs to everyone. The schematics are public. The materials are common. Build it yourselves. Baron's gift isn't just the technology, it's the freedom from scarcity. Riots broke out on 3 stations, not against the technology, but over it. People fighting to be next, to be chosen, to receive Baron's touch and the knowledge it brought. Jake stood in the observation deck and watched humanity tear itself apart over the chance to evolve. "We're not ready," he said to Varen. "You gave us too much too fast." "Perhaps," Varan replied, "or perhaps this is exactly the test. The wardens will not judge your technology. They will judge what you do with it. In 48 hours, they arrive, and humanity must decide what it wants to be. Below them, the energy grid pulsed with light, powering homes and hospitals and schools. A gift beyond measure, a test beyond imagining, and the clock was ticking. The riot spread to 7 more stations within hours. Not violence born of fear, but of desperation. Millions of people wanted what Lisa and the others had received. They wanted to touch the infinite, to know what lay beyond human limitation. The colony's governors called emergency sessions. Military forces deployed to maintain order, and still the crowds grew. Jake stood in the command center they'd established aboard Varen's ship, watching feeds from across human space. A woman in the Mars domes held a sign that read, "Knowledge is a human right." On Europa Station, protesters blocked docking bays, demanding Varen come to them. On Earth itself, the Council of Nations had declared a state of emergency. "This is cascading out of control," Commander Ross said. She'd been one of the 12, touched by Varen, transformed. But unlike the others, she'd kept her strategic mind focused on the bigger picture. "We wanted to show unity. Instead, we've created division between those who've been enhanced and those who haven't." Lisa worked frantically at a console, her enhanced mind processing data streams that would have taken a team weeks to analyze. "The wardens arrive in 36 hours. We don't have time to enhance everyone. We barely have time to finish the demonstration projects." "Then we're doomed," Dr. Clark said flatly. "How do we prove humanity deserves advancement when we're rioting over who gets it first?" Varen had been silent for hours, standing motionless in the center of the chamber. Now it spoke, and its voice carried a weight that made everyone stop. "There is another way, a faster method of knowledge transfer. I have avoided it because the risks are severe, but time is against us."
"What method?" Jake asked.
"A neural broadcast. I can transmit basic technical knowledge to every human mind simultaneously. Not the deep understanding I gave you, but enough that anyone with skill can build the tools, enough that the knowledge gap disappears." Lisa's face went pale. "Varen, a broadcast like that across billions of minds could kill you. The energy expenditure alone will leave me weakened, perhaps fatally, but it will save your species." "No," Jake said immediately. "We don't trade one life for advancement. That's not who we are." "Then who are you?" Varen asked. "When the wardens arrive and find you divided, fighting amongst yourselves, what will they see? Another species too primitive for the stars? They will reset you, and every human will lose not just this knowledge, but the capacity for progress itself. Is my life worth more than that future?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Commander Ross spoke carefully. "If we do this broadcast, can we control what people do with the knowledge? Can we ensure it's used constructively?" "No," Varen said. "Free will cannot be directed. Some will build, some will destroy. That is the nature of choice. but more will build than destroy. I have watched your species long enough to believe this." Jake's comm erupted with an urgent signal. Captain Phillips' voice came through strained. "Morrison, we have a situation. The anomalies at the system's edge just resolved. We've got visual confirmation on multiple vessels. They're not warden ships. Then what are they? Human, corporate security fleets from 3 different conglomerates. They're demanding custody of Varen and all associated technology. They're willing to fight our military forces to get it." The feeds on the displays shifted to show the incoming ships, hundreds of them, armed and advancing. Behind them came more vessels, these flying national flags, Earth nations, colony alliances, separatist movements, all converging on one location with one goal. Varen tilted its head. "They would go to war over knowledge that I would give freely. Welcome to humanity," Jake said bitterly. Lisa grabbed his arm. "We can still do this. The neural broadcast, if we do it now, before the fighting starts, everyone gets the knowledge simultaneously. No one has an advantage. No reason to fight, except Varen might die." "I'm already dying," Varen said softly. "My species is extinct. My purpose was to wait for someone worthy and pass on what we learned. I have found that someone. Let me complete my purpose." Marcus Webb, who'd been quiet until now, stepped forward. "There's a problem with the broadcast plan. I've been running the numbers. The energy requirements aren't just dangerous for Varan. They'll drain every power system in this ship, including life support, shields, and engines. We'll be dead in space while 2 fleets converge on our position. We might survive the broadcast only to die in the crossfire." "Can we evacuate to the fleet before the broadcast?" Ross asked. "Varen has to stay for it to work," Lisa said. "The ship is the amplifier, and someone has to stay with Varen to monitor the process, to shut it down if something goes catastrophically wrong."
Everyone looked at Lisa.
She'd become the de facto expert, the one most integrated with Varen's systems. She nodded slowly. "I'll stay. The rest of you get to the shuttles." "I'm staying too," Jake said. "Jake, that's not negotiable. You need someone to watch your back. And if this goes wrong, someone needs to witness it. To tell humanity what we tried to do, the corporate fleets were 6 hours out, the national forces 4. The wardens still 34 hours distant, but closing. Commander Ross made the call. We evacuate everyone except Grant and Morrison. They'll execute the broadcast. Then we extract them the moment it's complete. Captain Phillips will need covering fire to keep those fleets at bay during the process." Phillips responded immediately. "Consider it done, Morrison. You pulled this off, and I'm putting you both in for medals. You fail, and I'm court-martialing your corpses. Clear? Crystal, sir?" The evacuation took 90 minutes. Each of the enhanced 12 hesitated before leaving, knowing they were abandoning the source of their transformation. But they went, carrying with them knowledge that would reshape human civilization if they survived the next day. Finally, only Jake, Lisa, and Varen remained. The ship felt enormous and empty without the others. Their footsteps echoed as they moved to the broadcast chamber deep in the vessel's core. Varen had been preparing it, routing power from every system, converting the entire ship into a transmitter. "How long will the broadcast take?" Jake asked. 17 minutes, Varan replied. 17 minutes to touch every human mind in the galaxy simultaneously. 17 minutes during which I cannot stop, cannot adjust, cannot retreat. If something interrupts the process, the backlash will destroy my consciousness and potentially damage millions of human minds. "No pressure," Lisa muttered, echoing Philip's words from days ago. She took her position at the monitoring station. Jake stood by the door, weapon ready, though he had no idea what good it would do against warships. Varen moved to the center of the chamber and extended all 4 arms. Energy began to coalesce around it, building from a glow to a blaze to something that hurt to look at directly. "Once I begin," Varan said, "there is no stopping. Are you certain this is what humanity needs?" Jake thought about the riots, the warships, the fear and greed and desperate hope driving billions of people. He thought about the wardens coming to judge them, and he thought about what humanity could be if they just had a chance. "Do it," he said. Varen's eyes closed. The energy exploded outward, invisible but undeniable, racing through space at speeds that defied physics. And across the galaxy, every human mind suddenly knew how to build a better future. The broadcast hit like a wave of fire through space. On Earth, a child in Mumbai stopped mid-step, her eyes widening as equations for clean fusion bloomed in her mind. On Mars, a farmer understood suddenly how to optimize crop yields using atmospheric manipulation. In the asteroid belts, miners saw patterns in orbital mechanics they'd never noticed before. Billions of minds expanded simultaneously, not with Varen's full knowledge, but with enough to build, enough to change everything. Inside the ship, Varen screamed. It was a sound Jake never wanted to hear again. Alien agony translated into frequencies that made his bones vibrate and his teeth ache. Lisa's hands flew across her console, monitoring neural patterns that spiked into dangerous territory. "Varen's consciousness is fragmenting," she shouted over the noise. "The load is too much. We have to abort." "Can't stop now," Varen gasped, its form flickering between solid and translucent. Too many minds connected. Severance would kill them. Must endure. Must complete. The corporate fleets opened fire, not at each other, but at the military vessels trying to protect Varen's ship. Captain Phillips ordered return fire. Space lit up with weapons discharge. A stray missile impacted the hull. Shields were down. All power routed to the broadcast. The ship shuddered violently. Alarms screamed as atmosphere vented from 3 sections. 14 minutes left, Lisa said, gripping her console as the ship rocked again. "Varen, hold on. Just hold on." But Varen was fading. Its form grew dimmer with each passing second. Blood, or something like it, leaked from its mouth in colors that shouldn't exist. Jake moved to Varan's side. "What can I do?" "There has to be something." Varen's too many eyes focused on him with effort. "Tell them when I am gone. Tell them the gift was never the technology. It was the proof that cooperation works better than conquest, that mercy is strength, that staying matters more than running. You're not dying. We'll save you. Lisa saved you before. That was different. That was one human sacrifice for one alien's life. This is one alien sacrifice for an entire species' future. Fair trade. Another impact. Closer this time. The ship's structural integrity warnings filled the air. Lisa abandoned her console and ran to Varen. She grabbed 2 of its hands, her enhanced mind linking directly with its failing consciousness. "Share the load with me. I can help carry it." "Lisa?" "No," Jake shouted, but it was too late. Energy surged between them. Lisa's body went rigid as she became part of the broadcast, a relay between Varen and humanity. Her nose bled, her skin grew pale, but Varen's form stabilized slightly. 8 minutes, she gasped. "We can make it. We have to make it." Outside, something changed. The corporate ships stopped firing. The national forces ceased their advance. Every human vessel went still, their crews overwhelmed by the knowledge flooding their minds. They understood now what was happening, what was being sacrificed for them. Captain Phillips's voice came through, choked with emotion. "All ships cease fire. All ships stand down. Protect that vessel. whatever the cost. Protect it. The human fleets turned as one and formed a defensive sphere around Varan's ship. When more corporate vessels arrived, still intent on claiming the technology, they found a wall of united human military power refusing them passage. 6 minutes, Lisa whispered. Blood ran from her ears now. Her hands shook violently, but she held on. Jake could only watch, helpless, as the two beings who changed everything burned themselves out to save a species that had nearly destroyed itself over their gift. Across the galaxy, humans began to understand not just the technology, but the lesson. On Europa Station, the protesters dispersed peacefully. On Mars, community leaders organized knowledge-sharing sessions. On Earth, the Council of Nations voted unanimously to make all Varan-derived technology open source, free for any human to use. Cooperation over conquest, unity over division. 3 minutes, Lisa said. Varan's form was barely visible now, more energy than matter. Jake Morrison, you stayed when you could have run. You chose mercy when protocols demanded violence. You are what I hoped humanity could be. Tell them, promise me. I promise. 2 minutes. The ship groaned under another impact, but the human fleet's defensive fire kept the worst away. They were protecting their own now, protecting the sacrifice being made for them. Lisa collapsed, but kept her grip on Varan's hands. Almost there. Almost done. Just hold on. 1 minute. Varan looked at Jake one final time. Thank you for staying. The broadcast completed. 17 minutes of agony ended in absolute silence. The energy died. Varan's form solidified for just a moment, whole and healthy, and impossibly ancient. It smiled, an expression that transcended species. Then it dissolved into light and was gone. Lisa slumped to the floor, unconscious but breathing. Jake caught her, his own vision blurring with tears he hadn't known he was crying. Captain Phillips's voice crackled through. Morrison, report. What's your status? Jake looked at the empty space where Varan had been. Mission complete, sir. The broadcast succeeded. Barin is gone. A long pause, then quietly. Understood. The Warden fleet just emerged from faster than light. They're hailing us. Jake lifted Lisa gently and carried her toward the medical bay. Tell them humanity passed the test. Tell them we learned to stay. The Warden's ships approached Earth. 3 hours later, they found a species transformed not by technology alone, but by sacrifice. They found humans building together, sharing freely, choosing cooperation. They found a species that had witnessed an alien give everything for them and decided to honor that gift by becoming worthy of it. The Wardens observed for 6 days, then departed without a word. Their silence was judgment enough. Humanity had passed. Lisa woke 2 days after that, weak but alive. The first thing she asked about was Varan. When Jake told her, she cried for an hour, then got up and went back to work, teaching others what Varan had taught her. The galaxy changed slowly. Then, all at once, within a year, human technology leaped forward centuries. Clean energy, medical miracles, engines that could cross the stars in weeks instead of decades. But more important than the technology was what humanity chose to do with it. They built, they explored, they cooperated, and on every ship, in every colony, in every human settlement across the stars, they remembered the alien who asked one simple question. Stay? Humanity's answer echoed across the galaxy. We stayed. We'll always stay, because staying matters more than running, because mercy is strength, because one person's choice to help instead of harm can change everything. Jake Morrison never forgot that lesson. Neither did Lisa Grant. Neither did the billions of humans whose minds Baron touched in its final act. The ancient alien was gone, but its legacy burned brighter than any star. Humanity had been given a gift, and for once they'd proven worthy of it.